Welcome, fellas. It's time to discuss our new branding position. So this was our current positioning. Obviously, it's a low quality wine, appealing to low price, using some copyrighted material for the logo. Got a diluted wine, lots of Comic Sans, pixelated image, and this is okay. But now that we're approaching the 100 quality in the game, we're not there yet, but we're approaching that level. We got to discuss our new positioning. So I constructed this new commercial, and I want you to check it out, and then we'll go through the elements and see what we're doing.
At last, the time has come to manifest the latent instinct within. In the upbringing of her times of glory, fulfilling the dreams of generations before, allowing her feral senses to flourish, seizing the moment and crowning the day. The missing gem of any collection, bearing the seal of the best of Bordeaux. Chateau du Cavignac.
Why not? So basically, we've got a new strategy. So the music, as you can tell, is a little bit more tense. It's a little bit more sophisticated. We're talking about what is it, a minor? Let me see if I got my piano here. And then we come down with the violins. So this is the Pro Tools session. We got strings in the greens, woodwinds in the blues, brass and oranges. Got a patch of a full orchestra just for that second layer and the real end. And we got a Project Sam Symphobia soloist singing in that really final part just to get that cherry on the top. So running through the strings, got some very basic elements. This is the piano, just so you can see what I'm doing. And then we'll run through the elements. So the first violin is actually doing something very simple. Oop, I'm actually missing the violin, so this is violin 1. It's sitting on the 1 note per section. Going to the 2 note, 3 note, and that's basically it. As for the violin number 2, 5 and the 6. So we've got this element. So that's basically what we've got. We also have a viola, and it has a section here which is basically alternating notes. So the violin 2, you may have noticed, it's in tremolo. It's very slight variations in tone to bring in that tension, that energy. But the viola is doing a little bit more obvious. So that'll add in some more energy. Then we got the cello going through the main melody. Not much secret there. And we got the bass doing the basics. Now the bass is just playing the roots, and it's doubled by the bassoon on the second half. So on the second half, I'm just gonna play these 2 here just so you know. Those are powerful. This is the bass on its own, just in case you're not familiar with the sound of the instrument. And we got the bassoon. Those are pretty awesome. And then when we bring in all the strings together, we get this sound. So we got that minor chord with the tension. This is the thing, we're talking about a commercial for the sophisticated people. People that come to the end of the day, they want to drink a fantastic wine. It's crowning their day. It's like not what we had before, just drinking your cheap wine to get drunk. This is something big, a special moment with special people. So that's where we're going towards this approach. Then we can go to the flutes. This is doubling the cello actually, so nothing special. We're bringing with the cello. It's doubled up. Got the clarinet. The clarinet is actually doubled with the trumpets here. Very simple, right? But we're layering the instruments, doing slightly different things, and that's what brings the color to the music. I'm going to bring the trumpets together. Very good. And then we have the horns doing their own thing. Gotta love horns. And the trombones are always epic. Now, curiously, I made a mistake here with the oboes. They're playing the same thing, but I got this one note that's wrong on the oboe, and this one that's wrong as well. It's off scale. Luckily, you can't hear it in the mix, but they're the trombones. A little bit more colorful. I tend to bring in the trombones at the very end exactly because they have that excellent quality and they bring in that final touch. Now the Mastutis patch, these are all Spitfire orchestral patches, just so you know. The soloist is a product Sam Symphobia, but this Mastuti is just in the last end. It's kind of unrealistic, but it's there to give that last layer. It sounds good, but the way I executed it is very poor. But that's fine. Now let's go into the soloist. I actually had to double her up because she couldn't keep her breath for the whole note, but that's fine. You'll hear. That's her running out of breath. So lastly, I'll just run through our mics. This is my speeches.
In the upbringing of our times of glory, fulfilling the dreams of generations before.
So going through each of the different elements, we got basically Melodyne's correcting some notes. It's not even correcting pitch. We got Arvox. This is what brings in the volume. So if I play it without,
Fulfilling the dreams of generations.
You can't even hear it. So this is Arvox. Not only does it bring in volume, it also brings in color.
Fulfilling the dreams of generations before.
We've got the de-esser.
Fulfilling the dreams of generations before.
Not really relevant here, but here.
Allowing for fair all senses to flourish. All senses to flourish.
Listen to that senses.
All senses to flourish.
Without it, it's really obnoxious.
All senses to flourish. All senses to flourish.
So the de-esser tames that down. We've got an EQ. It brings a little bit more color to the notes. So this is without.
Allowing for fair all senses to flourish.
With.
Allowing for fair all senses to flourish.
We have no changes in output towards the input. And if you look at the levels, in and out,
allowing for fair all senses to flourish.
They're very well balanced on the same level. So basically I'm removing what I don't want and reinforcing what I do want. That gives it a little bit more quality. Got a multi-band compressor.
Allowing for fair all senses to flourish.
For each band, it basically tames things and brings other stuff up. It's almost like an EQ. It's excellent. Now the low air is really fun. This is from Waves. This is for the rumble. Listen to it without.
Allowing for fair all senses to flourish.
And with.
Allowing for fair all senses to flourish.
If you got a subwoofer, you can really hear that. Now I've got a final compressor just to tame things up, level them out, and give it that final
allowing for fair all senses to flourish.
Now that's fine and dandy. Then we have our reverb and our delay. This is to end with basically the full effects.
Allowing for fair all senses to flourish.
It sounds really over the top, but once you put it into the mix, it's fine.
Allowing for fair all senses to flourish.
Just to be way in the back, that voice that's just droning around. Now, when we go into those visuals, we have our 3D session. This is Blender. This is the best software ever. It's free. You can do 3D modeling, video effects, 2D animation, whatever you want. This is basically our new label. You can see you got a little bit more of a 3D effect here for the paper, and it's got a better font. Let's run through the label itself. And so yeah, we've got a better font. We have 2010, which is the year that we are in the game. This is the seal of Cavignac from the page on Wikipedia. Gironde, it's actually commune in the Gironde département of Nouvelle-Aquitaine. And it's a population of 2,000 people. This is the coat of arms, seal of arms. I mentioned it wrong. And that's awesome. So this is basically where we're going. This is Bordeaux. Hopefully I have no typos here. We've got 13% alcohol. No longer is it diluted. 75 centiliters. And we've got the phrase de brasser selon la loi du pureté allemande de 1506. This is the phrase which is actually the purity law of beer brewing in Germany. Super fun. So I'm basically revealing that I'm a scam.
Brassé selon la loi de pureté allemande de 1516.
Beer, right. And the trick here is that we're not from Bordeaux. We're from Lagos, Nigeria still. So this is a Bordeaux flavored wine. It includes sulfites, drink responsibly. It includes natural flavoring identical to the original. This is a phrase which is often found in industrialized products. I recommend you look it up. It includes a natural flavoring. The flavoring is natural, and it's identical to the original, but it's not the original. That means this is artificial flavoring. But this phrase is far more acceptable, so that's what they use on labeling. So that's ridiculous. This is forbidden for children under the age of 6. Why not? Vegan, stored in a dry and cool space away from sunlight. Made in Nigeria, according to the standards of winemakers of Bordeaux, France. Just like your electronics, your iPhone, which is designed in California but made in a sweatshop in China. So that is how we're going with the project. Now, another element here, well, of course, you can see that it got a little bit more of beveling here with shading effects in our 3D software, bringing up the gold, the white, and then I have this granite surface, which is pretty cool. This is an effect which is common for car paint. If you're modeling cars, you make a metallic paint and then you just make this really, really small. It's awesome. And the way that it works, just to show you very, very briefly, it's texture coordinates going into Voronoi texture. So this is what it looks like. Let me put it into your materials preview. That's a Voronoi texture right there. And then you separate RG and B, and then you join RG and B, which seems pointless, red into red, green into green, but blue is always 1. So if you come out with this, you end up with this. And this is pretty much how normal textures work. So that runs into a normal texture map, into your principled shader, and there you go. You got a 3D flake effect. It's pretty amazing. And then last, I'll just mention that our lights right here, we've got IS textures, which are pretty cool. It's a way to show how you want your lights to spread their rays. It only works with cycles in Blender, and I'm using this display here, so it's shining very, very specifically. So that's pretty fun. And then of course you got the wine that's pouring down from behind. And this, I am using Blender again, but with a 3D modeling and physics simulation. So yes, Blender also does physics simulation, smoke, fire, liquids in this case, and transform these particles into a mesh. And the way I'm working is that, this is looking from the camera view, but it's actually pouring down. I could have, of course, rotated 90 degrees and run through the physics simulation with the gravity pointing sideways. You can change where gravity goes. It's that cool. And then this is the settings I have. So a resolution of 300. This is where you could change gravity to go a different direction. Basically turning into liquid, of course, with the 32 particles maximum. I messed with a little bit of that. The mesh, this final resolution, and frame start, frame end, and that's basically it. So I highly recommend the software. It's pretty amazing. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's how we ran through it. I would also mention that this glass here, this is another fluid simulation that I ran. You do want to model your glass with that rim to have a slightly round bevel on the top, just like realistic glass. You have to be very, very detailed so that you capture that light. And you also want to make sure that your glass has a generous collision mask to make sure that particles don't pop right through. So that's basically how I ran the commercial. So I just roll one more time again so you can appreciate all the different elements, and then we go back to our series. Take care.
At last, the time has come to manifest the latent instinct within. In the upbringing of our times of glory, fulfilling the dreams of generations before, allowing our feral senses to flourish, seizing the moment and crowning the day, the missing gem of any collection, bearing the seal